look in the mirror, man, you're so dirty. Yeah, you look so dirty. You were never worthy. Lately, it's you.
Welcome to the Jeremy Hill Show. If you're easily triggered, leave now because this is not the show for you. Now, what I will be bringing to you in this reaction video, a woman who has agreed with me in times past. I used to do videos saying that single dads are better parents than single moms. I used to bring you statistical data. Well, this episode, I will not be bringing you no statistical data in regards to that, but I will be bringing you a woman who agrees with that. And that's just as good today. Now, let me go ahead and put on the screen for you right quick. Give me a second. I'll put on there, man. I want you to hear what she say because she's making a lot of sense, Jack. Like I say, let's get it.
Do children do better under a single parent that's a father or a mother? The U.S. Census data revealed that when children with developmental delays are under the age of 1, dads are more than 15 times as likely as moms to take those children into their care. As well.
Did you hear that? Even though I'm not reading out the statistical data, she is actually reading it out to you, okay? Men are very responsible. You wouldn't have society if men were not responsible. So I know you don't like to hear this, especially if you're being raised by a single mother, and I can get that. But trust me, if you're being raised by a single mother, even if you become an outstanding child that was raised in a home that was governed by a single mother, more props to you, more power to you. But let me tell you, a big part of your life is missing because a father wasn't there. And I know some of you may not like your father. Well, I don't care. Again, a big part of your life is missing because you didn't have a good father there. If you had a good father there, no matter how successful you are today, just imagine how much more successful you possibly would have been if you had someone implementing structure and providing guidance to you. Women, stop handicapping your sons and your daughters by having all these outside children, non-marital births, and stop having these children become a statistic. They need their fathers just as much as you think they need you. And honestly, they need their fathers more than they need you. And I know it's hard to accept, but look at the data and you'll get to see how children are raised.
This data revealed that when children with developmental delays are under the age of 1, dads are more than 15 times as likely as moms to take those children into their care. As well, nearly half the children who ultimately lived with their dads full time initially lived with their moms. Why did they move? The mom often felt overwhelmed and out of control, often because the children resorted to drugs, drinking, delinquency, depression, and disobedience, including vicious swearing at the mom, or what I refer to as the 5 Ds. I want to also point out the fact that even there is this trend that I often guide women against when you say like, oh, I feel like a single married mother or a single parent that's married. There is no such thing as being a single parent and married because you still have this other person to rely on. And I think that that's something.
That is just another way of putting a man down. That's just another way of elevating oneself when you're a woman, to say that you are a married single mom. That's just saying that you do not accept anything that the man has done in the past or doing or struggling to do now. Okay? If that's the case, then leave the man alone and actually become a single mother. Y'all say anything to put down a man. Y'all do anything to just hurt people. You get what I'm saying? And that's really sad, man. That's terrible. Hope my volume isn't messing up because I hear something in my thing. Well, anyways, keep going.
And married because you still have this other person to rely on. And I think that that's something that we as married women definitely have to get away from saying, because a single mother who is doing everything on her own is fully responsible for everything on her own. Even if you feel like your husband is not showing up to like household tasks and things, or he's not doing things the way that you want them to, there is still a physical body in that house that is able to be dependent upon worst case scenario, that is able to assist, that is participating in provision, and that is also participating in parenting. Because I think what often happens and what we miss in connection is moms are overwhelmed regardless whether they are married or single. If you're taking on too much, and oftentimes even when you're married, you try to wear your struggle, like I said, as a badge of honor, and so you take on more than necessary, and so you end up getting yourself in these really
women where there's struggle, not because it's a badge of honor, it's just another magnet of attention. There are a lot of women who like to play victim, who desire sympathy from anyone, man or woman, and they want to show you, I can do it all by myself, or I did it all by myself because I had no choice to, because I have this man who is not that good. He don't do anything. Or I am in a relationship, but I do everything. Okay? A lot of women like to use struggle. Now that's struggle love. Y'all keep talking about struggle love, getting with a man who ain't doing shit. Nah, it ain't that. A lot of times women have their own inner struggle love. They love to struggle. Even though they tell you that they don't, well, if you don't think they want to struggle, then answer me this. Why do they consistently make decisions that make their lives difficult to the point where they have to struggle? Having all these outside kids, now you're concerned about daycare, who keeping the kids, how can you work a job? You making these decisions. You love the struggle, okay? Your irresponsibilities has caused you to struggle. And when you find women who have put themselves in situations, y'all, where they are always struggling, have you ever noticed that they always tend to bring it up? I'm struggling this way. I'm struggling that way. Ooh, child, I can do bad by myself. I'm doing this and doing that. They're bragging without even knowing it. Subconsciously, they're bragging because they don't make any decisions to change their predicament or circumstance. That sometimes they tend to make more decisions that dig a deeper hole for them in them circumstances. Keep going.
High stress situations when you really don't need to. And so we tend to be overwhelmed anyway. Now imagine being an actual single parent and now you're trying to discipline these kids and they already have like this chip on their shoulder because they don't have access to their dad as much as they would want. They're going to be more rebellious, and more rebellious children are easier managed by their fathers. I told y'all all the time, like, as much as my children love, adore, and respect me, sometimes it takes for my husband to be like, I know y'all heard what she said. Or like it takes for him to add that level of sternness because that's just how it is. And then
because children fear their fathers over their mothers, and that's just what it is. It's a healthy fear. Not a tyrant, but a healthy fear mingled with respect, because men represent consequences to certain behaviors. And yes, you can spank your child, lady, but you cannot spank your child the way that a man would. We bring the fear of life to a child, but not in a mean way. It's love. We all have heard things about where if a child gets out of hand, all you had to say to that child was, I'm gonna tell your daddy. And they'll sit the hell down. Daddy's not even there. Meanwhile, mama been arguing back and forth with the child for damn 15 minutes. All she had to say, I'm gonna tell your daddy, he sit his ass down, or she sits her ass down. And like she said, when you have a rebellious child, you women can't. I've seen it myself. Y'all probably have seen this as well. I've seen women with rebellious teenage boys, especially if they're boys. Girls too, but especially if they're boys. They can't do shit with them youngsters. They can't do nothing with them. But let a man be in there that is the biological father, they'll cut all that out.
over time, I noticed that there are things that he will enforce in the way that he'll say it to them. I better not hear your mom say that again, or I don't want to hear your mother say this again, or whatever. And so over time, they just listen by default, and there is no let me go get their dad. And that only comes from the structure of having their dad also be a parent. And I think that's what's missing when you're a single mom versus a single dad. Dads tend to, generally speaking, y'all, tend to have like more structure and ease of working things out. They also don't focus on small things. So like we get worked up and overwhelmed because we focus on every little detail in addition to the large details. So like we might be thinking about getting a perfect gift for your kid's best friend's party this weekend while we're also thinking about how we got to get them to and from school, get them to and from practice, and all of these things. Dads will literally outsource. Like my dad, when my sisters were still in high school and he had a hard time getting them around, he hired a driver. Problem solved. Like, okay, I'm in court, I can't get over there to get them from school. I'm about to just call this guy and he's gonna go get them. And he had a regular driver that everybody knew. He would get them from school, get them to where they needed to be. Worst case scenario, like if he would call me and I was busy, or he would call somebody and my sisters weren't driving at the time, he would just get a driver. Problem solved. And so I think that we as moms, we over.
Know what that is? Logic. Men work through logic. Women work through emotions. Much more. So, right? So it's nothing for us to find a solution if you got a good man, because we are, solution bringers. We are problem solvers. by nature. We think like that. Women, their nature is to get all, oh my God, oh, what I'm gonna do? Oh my God, what I'm gonna do? Oh, I can't stand it. You know why they like that? Because they're emotional, but that emotional side of them has a legitimate place in the world because that emotional side of them helps them to become great nurturers to children and men. But it has to be checked. They have to have guidance. They have to have structure for that to function successfully. That's where the men come in. The man will keep a woman in pocket and keep her in check, not because he wants to be a tyrant or a slave master, but it's just how things are. And that's how a man can keep a family together. But she has to be willing to yield to the structure that he provides. Okay? Let's keep going.
Overwhelm ourselves, and we're less likely to outsource too. So that's another thing that I think is probably a point that's not necessarily addressed. In brief, whether infants or teenagers developmentally delayed or delinquent, dads are more likely to get their children who are challenged than the children who are challenging. Yet the children do very well under their care, which opens the door for more young men to define their future purpose as father warrior. Because remember, if they're on the other side of that and they're being raised by their single mothers in the absence of their father, any terrible experience that they have in that regard, they blame their mom for it and they hate their dad for it. And so if you didn't see your dad, you're either going to be resentful of that, and then you're going to grow up to be a terrible father yourself, or you're not going to want to be a father, or you're going to grow up being like, I'm not going to be like him. And so your entire fathering experience is going to be trying to model the opposite of what it is that you saw. Versus if your dad is present in your life, you have a direct example of what that looks like and how it is to be a healthy father. The word warrior is not added lightly. A warrior makes himself aware of the barriers to achieving his purpose. Then, rather than focus on what is standing in his way, a warrior focuses on how to get past those barriers, which is exactly.
In other words, a man would teach his son how to be a man. That's what the warrior is. He would teach the man how to fend for himself, how to be a hunter, gatherer, how to be a provider, protector of his family. He would teach him how to be masculine, how to be an adult, how to be responsible, how to go to war if he needs to, behind something that he strongly believes in, or again, in the protection of his family. That's the warrior side, that a man would teach his son. I'm talking about a son now. You can teach a woman, a daughter, how to stay out of trouble, blah, blah, blah. But right now I'm focused on the son right now. But yeah, that is what it is. You know what? You let me know what you think about this, man. I'll be talking to y'all pretty soon. And y'all take it easy now, yeah?